Hello, we're on. ON, Outreach News. And thank you for joining us for this edition of Outreach News. Outreach News is a media blog program that provides awareness of and shares the stories of countless individuals and agencies who provide help to those in need. And now your host, Linda Knox.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in and downloading to this edition of Outreach News. Today, you are in for a real treat. We're very excited about our guest today, Ms. Jewel Diamond Taylor. She is a very sought-after and highly acclaimed speaker who is truly a rare and precious jewel that God has gifted us with, and there's no pun intended there. Ms. Taylor, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today, Linda.
I'm just going to read for our listeners a little bit of your bio here, give them a little background. It says,
Sure.
Ms. Taylor's high-impact keynote and workshops are empowering, effective, engaging, informative, and memorable. Taylor, the Self-esteem Doctor, is a leader and a thought-provoking communicator. This emotional intelligence trainer is an awakening force. Her presentations provide insight to understand, observe, and transcend limiting behavior patterns. Lady Diamond is known for her ability to illuminate, instruct, impact, and inspire her audiences. Since 1984, her passion, excellence, and messages for successful living have stimulated the minds, hearts, and actions of men and women and youth to cope with adversity and achieve success in their personal, professional, and spiritual lives. Ms. Taylor is also a minister, author, life coach, workplace training, and resource facilitator. Wow, and as I mentioned, that's just a little bit of her background and bio. Can you tell us, how did you come up with such a great and fantastic career and get on such a great journey as this?
Well, you're right, it is a journey. I often say, if God revealed to us the plan that would unfold in our lives, we would probably get in our own way. We would probably sabotage it. We wouldn't believe that God could increase us and use us as a wonderful servant. And so I just simply started out because I just love teaching, but I didn't want to do it in a traditional sense. And I would go to personal development sessions, and I would be inspired, and I would hear things that I just never heard in school or at the kitchen table at home, and it really inspired me. And I looked at the people that were speaking, and it was mostly male, whites. I didn't see people of color. I didn't see women doing it. And I said to myself, I know I can do that, and I can take it even to another level. And so something was released in me, and I just began to start doing small gatherings in my home, and then the word would get around, and I would start doing local gatherings. It might be at the YWCA or at a school or a church. And then before I knew it, I've now spoken in almost all 50 states. I've done about maybe 40 now, and have spoken, invited to speak in London and Brazil and most of the islands, Bahamas, Jamaica, St. Kitts, Cancun, Virgin Islands. And it's just really been an awesome journey. And I have not only been a teacher, but I've been a student.
Wow. I mean, I was reading, and some of the topics, and we're going to go over some of the workshop topics, are just, I'm motivated just in reading the topics. And then I love the title, The Self-esteem Doctor. Now, tell us a little bit of history behind that.
Well, as I've developed, one of the things that you learn when you're serving is to listen. And as I listened to the questions I was being asked, as I would listen to my audience, as I would listen to those that I was counseling, there was a constant theme, and I realized a lot of people were not fulfilling their potential. They were feeling stuck because of a lack of self-esteem. They did not feel worthy. There were issues of shame, issues of guilt and worry. So many people have had experiences of poverty or violence or abuse, divorce, just different things that cause them to lack hope and power and a sense of worth. And when you don't feel worthy, you don't set goals. When you don't feel worthy, you give access to the enemy to just really attack you and destroy you and defeat you in so many different ways. So I realized I had to kind of back up a little bit and start from the beginning and help build up one's sense of worth and sense of power through Christ so that they could move beyond their circumstances. And many people are stuck. They don't know how to get past their circumstances. They don't know how to use their faith to move mountains. They don't know how to use the power of their words or the power of serving other people. They don't know how to get beyond those dark times and get out of those pits of self-pity. And so I had to start really teaching people emotional intelligence, how to be smart with their heart and choosing relationships. And so I took on this tag of being the self-esteem doctor because people were realizing that that's what needed to be healed. And so I kind of humorously tell people that I give an injection for the infection,
like
of
that.
a low self-esteem. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I know with reaching out through compassionate caring, we definitely share in that. I mean, we want for our listeners, and one of our goals is to try to help people to get their esteem up and to be able to cope with adversities and to just, and you have to put God first definitely in all of these things. But people today, with the economy being the way it is and with just the stressors in life in general, things are tough, and people need to know that, look, you can do it, and they need to be motivated and stop, procrastinate. I know one of the things I read, you talked about trying to get people up and not procrastinate. I'm a big procrastinator.
The two biggest inhibitors that I find people are dealing with is the low self-esteem and the procrastination. It just seems to be the root of so many evils. And procrastination is not being lazy. It's just some form of fear. We put things off because we fear ridicule. We fear rejection. We fear being exposed. We fear things not working out. We fear the unknown, and so therefore we just remain paralyzed. And then when you compound that with the sense of low self-worth already, it's just a mess. So you have to begin to say, where am I putting things off? Why am I afraid? Why am I waiting until everything gets perfect, or waiting even for the economy to change? Everything is relative. For some people, this could be a very hard and difficult time. For some people, they see opportunities. For some people, they still see God on the throne. For some people, they realize that they've gotten through tough times before, and they say, I can do this again. So, it's just a matter of, the Bible tells you, if you want to change things, you got to change your mind. Right. And that's hard for people that live in a sense of victimhood all the time and live in a sense of fear. You don't understand that you have the power to change your thinking. It's a choice.
Now, you mentioned also, too, I think it's under your mission statement. They're nice to have a bulleted points. But I like where you say to polish your talents, gifts, and anointing, by developing your signatures, strengths, dreams, and purposes. And I know that we really like to try to point people in the area of figuring out what their gifts, talents, skills, and abilities are to hopefully use them towards outreach and helping others. How do you get people to hone into figuring out, what their gifts may be and into using them for their life's purpose?
That's a very good question, and I had to do it for myself first. I had to go through the challenges and the self-doubt and to understand why we don't see our own signature strength. It's difficult for us to see ourselves, Linda. It's difficult to, we look in the mirror and we see an illusion. It's not really who we are. But we allow our circumstances and other people's opinions of us to define us. And a lot of times we can't even see our own strength. It's been so covered up with pain and setbacks and disappointments and brokenness and woundedness that somebody telling you that you're stupid or you can't do it, and then we just take that on as a truth. And so what I do is present retreats and one-on-one counseling. I present seminars where I help to break those spells, because all of us live under some type of a spell or an illusion because of our gender or because of our race or because of our age or even our body image or because of our marital status. We believe the lie that we are not significant. And God has given everybody a gift, everybody. And so we also fall under a spell because of the power of media. Media can be very powerful in a positive way or in a negative way. And of
Oh,
course,
yes.
you know, the power of it in a negative way can make you feel that you're not good enough, that you're not the right size, that you're not successful, and how the world defines success is different than how God was defined your significance and your success. And when you are able to distinguish between the two and you stop looking for how the world would give you a crown, then you would say, I want the crown of the Lord, and I want to be able to have a life of significance and meaning. And it may be something that the world would not applaud. You may not get an award, but you definitely have a gift. There's something that everybody has, that you do it better than someone else, or you do it passionately, or you do it without looking for a reward, or you do it so well that the world does want to reward you, or you do it so well that in spite of adversity or pain in your body, you still get up and you pursue it. And once you can identify that thing, it may be the fact that you work with animals. I don't work with animals. I don't have a passion for animals, but there are people that's what they love. Well, we need you to do that. There are people who love working with children. That's not my passion. I work well with women, and I'm able to identify and relate to their issues. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a minister. So I understand all the balls that we juggle in the air of trying to please other people and trying to be healthy, trying to make money, trying to serve our church. And so I can relate to that, and that's where my strength is. And I stop running from that. And I think people find themselves either they don't know what it is or they know what it is and they're running from it.
Yeah. I know that my sister had met you at a conference, and she came back, and you've got to listen to it. I went online, and I went on YouTube and on your website, and just with the little that I heard, it even inspired me because, I'm trying to juggle a lot of things right now, as a lot of women do. And there were just so many key points, and I thought, it just makes a lot of sense. And I know a lot of men probably could benefit as well, but especially women. You hit on so many things that was really a blessing to me.
Yeah, and, I enjoyed meeting your sister. She's talented. She's got a gift,
Oh, yes. Now, that's her gift, singing. It certainly wasn't mine.
Yes, that's her gift. And it's like, we could all say, I wish I had somebody else's gift, but the reality is God has given us something unique to serve his body and to serve humanity. And you have compassion in your heart, Linda, and that is so needed in this hurting world. There's so many people just don't have compassion, just don't have patience. The world is, the economy and our world is broken because of greed, because of corruption. And so what is the healing balm? It is for us to be a tool in God's hand to bring the peace, to bring the comfort, to bring the joy, the smiles. God needs all of us, and I think we all have a role to play. And I think what happens is that when our self-esteem is wounded, we don't believe it. We just cannot even believe it that we can make a difference. And we definitely can if we would just not let the enemy hinder us and lie to us and trick us. If we would just begin to, find resources and people and the activities that would help to spark that and to nurture it.
Now, you're the founder of several, and this just may be a few, but I was reading this on your website. It says Women on the Grow, and then Super Goals Saturday on the Grow, and Super Goals Saturday Motivational Seminars, and then the Don't Give Up Conference, and Women, is it Paragon Leadership Training?
Correct.
Now, do you take, is this just in your area, or these are workshops and seminars that anybody could have you come out and do?
Right,
these workshops?
I do them nationwide. I have Women on the Grow. We do activities around the nation. We just recently had one here in California where I reside, and I'm doing one in Dallas. I'll have one in Maryland. We do what we call a resilient conference where we teach others how to be resilient, and that is under my business called Women on the Grow, my ministry. We do retreats and we do conferences every January. I've only done it locally here in California, but every January for 25 years, I kick off the